Hi, I'm Maria from Nancy's Notions, and today I'd like to talk to you about making t-shirt quilts. T-shirt quilts are a great way to capture memories that the shirts remind us of. So gather your shirts and let's get started. What we are featuring is our ultimate t-shirt quilt set, which includes a t-shirt Quilts Made Easy book, a package of T-Shirt Perfect Fusible Interfacing by June Taylor, a pressing cloth, and this great T-shirt transformation ruler also by June Taylor. Depending on how many shirts you gather will determine the size of your quilt. 12 to 20, sometimes 30 shirts end up in a quilt. So I don't always know ahead of time how big my quilt is going to be until I know how many I have to deal with. So now I'm going to prep my t-shirts. One thing you want to remember is to launder them without fabric softener because that interfacing will stick to them better without the softener in the shirts. So if I take a shirt like this one, I'm going to use a pair of scissors to cut it open so I only have a single layer to deal with. The first one is the hardest, but I like to cut right under the armpit and down the side of the shirt. And now I can open it up, and I have just one layer on my cutting mat that I can now use my great ruler to cut. So the great thing about this ruler is that it's got all these great markings on here. So the outside edge is a 15-inch square. The next set of grooves makes a 12-inch finished, and these will make a 10-inch. We have a bullseye right through the middle there, so you can center your design as best as possible. It gives me a place to start to cut a square. I like to take my rotary cutter now and cut a little ways away from that ruler. I'm going to go all the way around, so now I've just got a chunk of fabric to deal with. I can peel the rest of that shirt away. And now I have basically a block. Once I have my shirts cut into squares like this, I'm going to take my package of interfacing and cut similar squares to match the size I chose for the t-shirts. Here is my interfacing I'm going to apply to the back of the shirt. And you may wonder why. Well, t-shirts are pretty stretchy, so when I'm making a quilt, I want to remove as much of that stretch as I can. So this interfacing helps to stabilize it so that the fabric acts more like a woven and less like a stretchy knit when I'm putting it together in a quilt. So next step, I'm going to take my pressing cloth and place on my ironing surface. It's got a couple wrinkles, so we'll smooth that out because I don't need to add any more wrinkles to anything. I like to use the cloth because t-shirts often have this kind of artwork on there that's a paint that when you heat it up it gets a little bit soft, and I definitely don't want to leave this behind on my ironing surface. So the pressing cloth helps to protect that. I like to put them face down. And I'm going to just hit it quick with the iron to smooth it out a little bit. I'm simply going to take the interfacing and put it the glue side down on the back of the shirt. Again, I want it to stick there and not to my iron or to my surface. And I'm going to follow the package directions for how hot and for how much time to press it. So for the shirts that have a lot of this kind of paint on, I like to use them right side up, so I'm going to use my Teflon pressing sheet, and this one happens to be the large one, but you can see how great it covers the surface. So even if your interfacing isn't cut exactly the size of the shirt, it's going to protect your iron and give you a great pressing. And now I can heat it up through that shirt. The paint is not going to stick to my iron, and it's actually going to give me a cleaner finish when I'm done. Make sure that it's cool before you peel it off so that the paint stays on the shirt and not on your sheet. And look what a beautiful smooth finish I got. Often t-shirt quilts look like they're sagging and puckering a little bit. Look at how nice and smooth that interfacing makes it. I can manipulate it a little bit and it doesn't stretch like it would if it was still a t-shirt. No wrinkles, it's flat and it's ready to go in a quilt after I clean up the edges. So now I'm moving back to my cutting mat with my shirts that are prepped, and I'm going to lay the ruler down on top again. And I told you before, I kind of rough cut it, and this is why. Look at how uneven the edge is after I've put that interfacing on. So this gives me space to clean it up into an exact square so that they all match. If I were going to make it smaller, I would use these grooves in here and take my marking pen in the grooves to mark how big that square is going to be. For this particular project, I want a large square, so I'm not going to use those, but they are there at your fingertips if you need a smaller space. And if you like where it's laying, now I'm going to take my rotary cutter. Turn my mat around. And voila! I have a new square ready to go. Now that you've got all the prep work done, the fun can begin. You can lay your t-shirts out in a pleasing design. If you need some help with that, open up this book and take a look at all the quilts that they've put in here. There's tips and hints and things like that about making the quilts that may help you along the way. So the book shows you a lot of inspiration, but I find that if I just have a big space where I can start laying them out and arranging them, that gets me started. You can put them together t-shirt on t-shirt now that you've got them interfaced and stabilized, or if you like the look of sashing, simply spread those blocks out a little bit. If you've got a jelly roll that you love that matches your shirts, that's a great place to start, but look at how just adding a strip of fabric in between the shirts changes how they look. This purple will give you a whole different look, so you really have to take some time to just play and see what you think. Here's a great example of a quilt that's done with just plain squares, the same color fabric in between, no extra squares here for the sashing. Okay, and if I peel back a corner, you can see the shirts are all prepped with the interfacing, and look at how wonderful these memories are going to look on the bed. T-shirt quilting is quite easy to master if you have the right tools. Shop T-shirt quilt supplies by clicking the link at the end of this video or in the details below. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, click the like button or leave a comment below, and don't forget to subscribe.